Now, when they give us a graph, we can write the piecewise function. Let's see how we can do that. I like to start from left to right. So the first line that we see in this graph has a point on the x-axis, which is -2 and 0. Remember that we need 2 points to find the m. And if we find the m, we can find the b, and that means that we can write the equation of that line. But we already have 1 point. Another point could be -3 and 1. -3 and 1. For those who don't remember, well, we have a little formula for the slope, and it's this one. So let's find the slope of this first line. The y2 will be 1 minus of the formula and 0, and then we go with the x, which would be -3 minus of the formula and then -2. This becomes a plus. So 1 minus 0 will be 1, and -3 plus 2 will be -1. If we simplify, if we divide, this will be -1, and this will be the slope. Now, to find b, let's remember that we have a formula for b, which is y minus mx. So now, because we have 2 points, we can choose 1 point of those. I'm going to choose the first one. b equals the y. Which y? The y of that point that I chose, which is 0. Minus the m, the slope. I just found the slope, which is -1. -1 times the x. Which x? The x from the order pair that I chose, -2. So this becomes a plus. 1 times -2 is simply -2. This is our b. Now we have all the elements to write the equation of that line, which will be y equals our m. When we have 1x, is the same as to write x. Okay, you don't have to put the 1, but if you want to put it, it's fine. So we have -x, and then we have our b, which is -2, and that will be our first equation. And remember, we are writing a piecewise function, so that means that this is just a part of that piecewise function. Okay, this is just the first little line that we can see from left to right. Just for now, I'm going to write it over here. So the first one is -x minus 2. Now, the other part is in the middle, right? That part is very easy. When we have horizontal lines, those are very easy to write because we simply have to write y equals, and we just put the number in y, which is 2. That's the whole equation. So we have the second one. All right, I'm just going to put it here in the corner, and then we put them all together. Let's go to the third piece of this graph. Now with this one, we have 1 point, 1 and -1. So I'm going to put it over here. We just need 2 points. So this is 1 and -1. And another point that we see there is 2 and 1 and 1. 2 in x, 1 in y. With those 2 points, let's find the slope. 1 minus of the formula, and then -1. So this becomes plus. All right, now we go with the x. 2 minus of the formula, and then the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. This is 2. Our slope is 2. Now let's find b. Remember that b is y minus mx. Remember, this y and this x come from a point, okay? So you choose the point that you want to use. I'm going to use this second one. 1 minus of the formula, then our m, our slope, which is 2, and then times the x, which comes from this point, just 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 minus 4 is -3. So that means that our equation is 2x minus 3. So that will be our third equation here. Now let's put all this together. Remember that we have to write the little categories, which part of the domain is going to be used in this equation and in this equation and in this equation. In the first one, we're going to write if x, -2 is the limit, and all the numbers that are being used are less than -2. You see that they are on the left of -2, so that means that x is less than -2. Now, that little point is closed, so that means that the -2 belongs to that part of the line. So the second part, you see that it doesn't have arrows, so that means that it has a beginning and it has an end. The beginning is -2 and the end is 1. How do we write that? Okay, so I have x in the middle, I have -2 over here, and the other limit is 1. Now the symbols are going to be these ones, and they don't have the equal because on the graph we can see that the points are open. So we have to leave it like that. That means that they are not included in this part of the graph. Let's go to the last part. So the last part of this piecewise function graph starts in 1. Remember that we are looking at the numbers that are on the x-axis. We're not looking at the y-axis, we're looking at the x-axis. That point is in 1 in the x-axis. So that means that that is our limit, the beginning of that line. Okay, and the rest of the numbers, if you see, they are all to the right of that number. So that means that they are greater than 1. Now that point is close, so that means that we have to put the equal sign. And that's how we write a piecewise function.